Hello and welcome to another episode of the GCSUNScast, the longest running Gold Coast Suns show on the interwebs. Thanks to our Patreon sponsors Dale Snelling, Paul Vosti, Robbie Fiorini, Brody Burgess, Tom Kim and Tim. And I'm your host Shane. Thanks for joining me on what is a very special episode tonight, the 100th episode of the GCSUNScast. And I can't think of anyone better to help me celebrate this occasion than the boys over at AFL Exchange. Welcome to the show, Riley, Cal and Mitch.
Yeah, Shane, it's great to be here once again. My second time, actually third time back. So 300, 3% of the show, so good.
Fantastic.
Shane, I'm told that I'm the lucky charm on the GCSUNScast, and Paul Vosti tells me that I'm his favourite guest that's been on the show, so I'm happy to roll with that.
That's apart from Paul Vosti himself.
Let's start off with last night's episode of AFL Exchange. You guys were discussing the greatest ever Suns win after a fantastic win against the Giants on the weekend. Mitch, you made your point evidently clear it was the win against the Tigers 2 weeks ago. But Riley and Cal, I feel like you guys did your best to try to get out of that question. So I ask you again, what is your greatest ever Suns win?
I did down 2018 against Sydney at the SCG when they'd lost 11 straight. They were 5 goals down at quarter time. They had all their top 5 in their B&F out from the previous year. They came back and won. I remember watching that live and thinking that was an incredible victory and just thinking that upset of the decade, let alone just in that Gold Coast history.
And Cal?
That was a good one. They also smashed Geelong in 2014, didn't they? The Cats made the semi-final that year, I think.
Yeah, that was the game that Harley Bennell kicked 6 goals, I think, to get the Suns over the line in that one.
Yeah, so they were obviously on the way up at that point, and Gazza was flying, as we all know, and things took a bit of a nosedive, clearly, but that was right up there, for sure.
Didn't they win 2 games in a row? They won that one, and then I think they beat Hawthorn the next week. They won 2 games in a row by 90 points or something like that.
Riley spent too much time researching for the quiz tonight.
We win.
Mine would probably be the first ever Q clash. It was the second or third time I'd ever seen the Suns live, the first win I'd seen. All the media hype surrounding that game as it was built up with terms for Riscatelli and Brennan being labelled mercenaries, and then the on-field performances. We had the high-flying marks. Nathan Cracker took a specky, some fantastic goals. It was high scoring. It was a really good contest. So that would be my favourite out of all of the wins. Did you guys get your Suns membership sorted for this year? I spoke to Mitch early in the year and he said he was a paid-up member. I know you, Cal, and Riley were waiting for a call from your friend Noah Anderson to convince you guys to sign up and get over the line. How did that go?
Yeah, well, they haven't lost since I signed up. So they're 2 from 2 since I joined as a member. And yeah, I did actually send it to Noah and he said I was the lucky charm. So obviously, his message got through to me. But yeah, I'm a member again. I don't think Mitch actually signed up. He just didn't unsign up.
Yeah, I checked my credit card in January and the money being taken out again. I'm more than happy to continue. I'm still waiting on my badge, so I need to follow up.
Me too.
With Mark Evans and Tony Cochran to see where that is.
Who'd you go with in the badge, Mitch?
Pardon?
Who'd you go with in the badge?
Well, I didn't get to pick, but if I did, it'd probably be Jack Bowes or Charlie Ballard, I reckon.
What about you, Riley?
I went with Noah.
Noah? Cal?
Yeah, I can't remember, but I think it was either Noah or Benny Ainsworth.
No love for Matt Rowell?
He's too mainstream these days.
Yeah. No, he needs to get a kick. No, he's obviously come back a little bit slow. I'm taking the mick there. I'm clearly not being serious. It's been an interesting sort of comeback for him, hasn't it? The expectations on him were probably a little bit heightened because of what we saw last year, and yeah, he's been working his way back into the side. And you've got to remember that he's in his second year and played what? He's nearly up to 10, 11 games now. I'm not sure exactly, but it'd be around that. So yeah, the expectations are probably more at a real world sort of sense than the extra sort of stratosphere he reached last year.
Yeah, he only had 7 touches for that game, but it was what he did off the ball that really impressed. Of course, he got that goal in the dying minutes of the game to help get us into the lead. But it was the 36 pressure acts. That was a game high for anyone on the field. He just really knows what to do, even if he doesn't have the ball. So that was really impressive. But it's not often that we get you guys on the show after a win. I think this might actually even be the first time. But let's talk about the win over the Giants. It was a gritty 1-point victory for the Suns, the first in their history. 10 goals 5, 65 to 9 goals 10, 64. Multiple goal scorers were Miller, Day and Sexton with 2 apiece. Miller had 35 disposals, 16 contested possessions and 14 tackles to go with his 2 goals. I mean, Tuke Miller, what more can you say? He's doing it all at the moment.
I reckon he might start regretting not challenging that one-match ban he got earlier in the year. On Brownlow night, he might have a few second thoughts. I remember being surprised at the time that he didn't take that to the tribunal and just sort of chance his arm a little bit. But now I reckon 6 weeks ago in the season, he'd be right up there in the Brownlow voting, I reckon.
What are you saying? Corey McKernan might get a call when we're talking about players that have missed out through suspension and winning the Brownlow.
He might have to.
So how did you guys see this game? I don't expect you travelled to the cold, windy conditions of Ballarat. It was, from all reports, a very cold day, very windy, not the sort of football conditions we're used to seeing in the modern day. Cal, you've spoken about how much you love going to Ballarat before, the watching academy games and so forth. How did you feel we went? I felt like we were sort of able to beat the Giants at their own game and out-muscle them for a majority of the day.
Yeah, I reckon the midfield battle, you mentioned Took Miller, but the other guys that stood up around him, and even Chris Burgess taking it up to money in the ruck was a big tick for the Suns, especially that Giants midfield that's had a stack of options. Even Stephen Canelio, they didn't roll the dice with him again. They played him through the twos. It shows the depth they've got in that Giants midfield. So I think that was a big tick for the Suns.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their midfield, the Giants, and it's beast ball winners, isn't it? And there probably is been a reliance on Took Miller to carry the load on that front, but clearly they shared that, and yeah, I think it was one of their better wins for a long time in terms of the Suns and what they were able to do. So yeah, it looked a bit worrying there late, didn't it? And it looked like the Giants were going to hold on, but they probably had the better of the game, really. Maybe the scoreboard didn't tell that story for a little bit, but yeah, maybe by the end of it, it did. So, yeah, how were you going, Shane, when Toby had that kick?
I have a confession to make. I didn't actually watch the game live. I was in the middle of building a wall out the back in the yard, so I watched it later, a few hours later, and I did my best to stay dark. I was ignoring the phone, but there were messages coming through. There was the notification from the AFL app saying, watch the last 2 minutes. So I knew it was going to be a close game. And it was probably with about 8 minutes left in that final quarter that I gave in. I couldn't handle the suspense anymore. And I checked the app and it said the Suns had won by a point. And I thought, that's all I need to know. And I just enjoyed the last few minutes in a bit of a bliss, because it can be stressful sometimes as a Suns supporter watching close ones.
Yeah, fair enough.
One other player as well, David Swallow. I think one of his best games in a while. I've been critical on him not performing to the level that he probably could have in recent seasons. And yeah, I think his best game in Suns colours for a long time.
Yeah, Swallow's one that's gone under the radar a bit of late. He had a really good start to the season, but has been a bit slow recovering from that concussion a few weeks back. Brandon Ellis, he had 41 disposals, 17 contested. He's been really impressive for the Suns since coming over, and that was probably one of his best games for us. How do you rate Brandon Ellis and his performance since he's moved from Richmond? I know at Richmond he was a bit of a whipping boy among the fans there, but up here he's really thrived and he's become a key component to the Suns midfield.
Yeah, and it's not just on the field, is it? It's off the field. I think there was some of that they were looking for when they brought him to the club, an off-field guy who's not only tasted success but is extremely hard-working in the way he trains and prepares, and he's pretty elite at that. So I think he left Richmond on pretty good terms. And yeah, for a guy who had maybe not the most privileged background, there was an opportunity for him to really make the most of his career. So there was a long-term deal on the table. And yeah, I don't think there was any hard feelings at all from Richmond when he went. And look, they've been able to replace him. They won a flag without him. But also I think he's been pretty handy for what the Suns were looking for him from him. So yeah, he's played basically every game over the last couple of years. He's durable. He's athletic. He's a good kick. He's a long distance runner. So yeah, I think he ticks a lot of boxes, and he's been a pretty good choice for him. Particularly as a club that they gave up money and salary cap space for him, but he came for nothing in terms of free agency.
So
I was going to say the role change as well. I just didn't see that from him at Richmond. I didn't see him as that player that could go in and be a full-time midfielder. I mean, we saw him play half-back, a bit of a wing when he was with the Tigers. I didn't think he could make that jump. I thought he sort of recruited at the same time, around the same time as Hugh Greenwood. I thought he'd be doing the majority of it, but they've actually worked pretty well in tandem with him. I'm sure we'll get to Hugh Greenwood and his injury as well later in the show, but I've got to admit, I put my hand up and say I just didn't see this coming from him in terms of the way he's been able to adapt so strongly to that position.
Yeah, he's been really impressive. What worked on this game for the Suns? There's been a lot of, pressure on the Gold Coast Suns with Stuart Dew and his coaching. There's also been a lot of talk after this game with the way Stuart Dew took the gamble to get Touk Miller onto the field at the expense of having one less player on the ground for a period of time. What do you guys make of this? Because it's probably one of the first signs that we've actually seen Stuart Dew make a real tactical coaching decision on game day.
Yeah, I like that. The fact they rolled the dice and been able to get that win. I also like what they've been able to do with Sam Day coming back in that team. He only had 6 touches, but 12 hit-outs. He just straightens them back up a little bit. And Chris Burgess, as I mentioned before, and just back to that midfielder's role. I mentioned no Hugh Greenwood in that team. For that young midfielder to stand up without best inside clearance player, it just shows the leaps they've taken. Now I'm keen to see what happens with Will Brodie. Does he come back in? Does Braden Fiorini get the last 6 games of the season? It's a good chance for these guys to stand up off the back of it.
And we've seen the last 2 weeks, Vainsworth as well come back in. He's second best on ground against the Tigers, according to the coaches. So it's been good to see some of his spark back. And yeah, I think Dew's spoken a couple of times that if he can just make the most of his opportunity at the end of the passage of play, then we're going to see a guy that gets rewarded for his work as well.
Yeah, it was a really good win. The way that they had the courage to take the game on. We've discussed their pressure. It was some of the best pressure that they brought since early in the season. They had the nous to run the ball and carry it when they were going into the wind and kick long when they were going with the wind. So that was really good maturity to see that. So the contested ball was another issue for the Suns, but it seems like there's the ability that contested ball isn't as important as what it once was in AFL. And that's probably highlighted by not only the Suns winning with a minus 28 contested ball against the Giants, but the Sydney Swans defeating the Bulldogs later that day with a minus 30 contested against the Bulldogs. So how do you guys see contested ball in the modern game?
Depends what you value, really. I mean, look at Hawthorn throughout their successful period. They were always towards the bottom of the contested possession differential stats. So they've been a side that's sort of been able to buck the trend a little bit. I sort of think it does. Like, look at Melbourne. Melbourne's not the best clearance team, but the best team in the comp at the moment. So it really goes down to what you value. And I think they were never going to win that contested game against the Giants, as you mentioned. But so maybe they value pressure around the ball once the contest gets won.
Good idea. Yeah. And I want to get your take on the Vic Suns Army, the group of supporters down there in Victoria that's come out in force in the last 2 games to support the Suns, banging the drum and getting loud and proud. You guys in the media must be loving this. A bit of good news, a bit of something different than what we're probably used to seeing.
Best thing I've seen since the Source squad that the Lions put together.
What are they calling the Sun squad? Has it got some sort of tag or name? Because that's been impressive.
Up in Queensland at Metricon, they're called the Sun Screamers, but I feel like the ones in Victoria are separating themselves and calling themselves the Vic Suns Army.
Right. Okay. Where are they from? Are they all like Carey boys, or do we know what their link to the Suns is, if any? Not that you need one, I guess. I mean, you can just adopt them like we sort of have, but. I'm not sure you see any of us with the drum, but certainly the atmosphere against the Tigers in particular was pretty incredible, wasn't it? Against the Army, they outshone them at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, we've had Jordan, the drummer, on the show before. He's just trying to support the boys and make as much noise as they can. They usually have to outnumber the opposition crowd, so the drum makes sense there. As far as the Richmond game, though, it seemed to be, from what I've heard, it just sort of grew. The longer that game went on and the more it looked like the Suns were in a winning position, the neutrals just sort of got around them, and it just grew and grew from that. I guess everyone loves beating up on Richmond these days. And
I love how brash they were as well to give the Richmond fans a send-off, which I like. If you're going to adopt the Suns, you've got to be a little bit left of centre. So that was good.
Yeah, and we have to remember back to the Collingwood game at the G earlier in the year. The Suns Army got real involved there and even brought out their own version of the Collingwood cheer, which I think ruffled a few feathers.
Well, they're just waiting for their team to come through with it, so they're ready for it. They need some things to cheer on. The last fortnight's been pretty good. All
right, well, I think it's time to move on now. Let's move on to a couple of segments you guys are familiar with over on your show, AFL Exchange. And the first is Hang On a Second. So, hang on a second. Did Miller just become the Suns' best player since Ablett?
Oh, that's a good question.
Probably.
Since he left, or since, are we talking number 2 of all time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd buy into that. I mean, for a long period, the clubs wanted him in a leadership position. I mean, he narrowly missed out on the captaincy when they had that vote a couple of years ago when they gave it to Jared Witts and David Swallow. Now he's figured prominently in their thoughts. So it's clearly highly rated around the club. I think now you're starting to see that grow externally.
What about Tom Lynch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say Lynch is their only other All-Australian apart from Ablett. So if Took Miller becomes an All-Australian this year, then maybe he enters that conversation. But in terms of pure best player, not body of work, I'm going Lynch.
Okay, I feel like Lynch didn't play enough games for the Suns, but then that's probably more my recent memory. I think he spent the last couple of years on the Suns list injured and only played half a season in those years.
Now, Shane, I've got AFL tables up in front of me. And Took Miller's played one more game than Tom Lynch at the Suns. So,
Hang on a second, Shane.
Hang on a second, Shane. Hang on a second, did you?
My hang on a second. Why is Alex Sexton not producing more of that week in, week out? Why is he getting dropped every week, every second week? He 2 goals in the weekend. He laid some pressure for the first time in a while.
Has he been dropped?
Touches. Hey?
Has he been dropped for this week? Have you got the
No.
scoop?
I mean, why is he not producing more consistent performances like we saw on the weekend? And why does he keep getting dropped?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Sexton's one of those players that could be anything, but a lot of the development at the Suns, we haven't really seen the best of any of these players except for maybe now Took Miller. So Sexton's right up there though as one of those players that should be delivering more.
Hang on a second. Is there any danger of Gold Coast having a good run with injury? This is a club that is been absolutely tortured with setbacks to its key players over a decade now. I know there's just bad luck, but Hugh Greenwood on the weekend is the latest casualty Jared Pitts has missed most of the season, which has been a massive body blow. So, yeah, I think that at some point the luck has to turn. So hopefully this is the end of that era of injuries and we see a new era start in 2022.
Absolutely, Cal. I think a lot of Gold Coast Suns fans would agree with you on that one. Let's move on to things that should happen. Gold Coast should play finals next year.
They should.
They should.
They should. They've got to. They've got to. I think they have to. Probably for Stuart Dew's sake, they probably have to. I got things that should happen. Stuart Dew should regrow his hair. Like, he should get the long locks from the start of COVID happening again. That was awesome. They played better footy when he had long hair. They slipped down the ladder in 2020 when he cut his hair. That's not a coincidence.
Things that should happen. The Crows are not going to re-sign Daniel Tarley anytime soon, so the Suns should get on the phone and offer him a contract. He's only 29. Yes, he's had his injury problems, which I know, getting back to Cal's point, doesn't help the Suns, but if he can get his body right in the Queensland sun, he's a good leader. He's what the Suns need to assist Ballard and Sam Collins down there. I think he'd be a good fit as an unrestricted free agent.
Particularly with Roy Thompson's body issues over the past 2.5 years. So.
Yep, 30 plus years old. He's missed the last few years of football, and it's become really evident that when the Suns don't have Collins in the side, they're very vulnerable down back. So a replacement for Thompson would certainly help Collins and Ballard and the like down in defence.
Things that should happen. Will Powell should get more credit. Will Credit should get more power. Will Powell should get more credit. If he was playing for Hawthorn, he'd be getting the same amount of love that Will Day gets every time he steps on the field and Jankul Gia. So he's a star.
Absolutely, and there's no surprise that North Melbourne and other clubs came after Will Powell in last year's trade period, but he's sticking with the Suns, absolutely loves it up here, and why wouldn't you? Moving on, who would you rather, Ben King or Max King?
Ben.
Is that just because this is a Gold Coast show, or do you genuinely believe that?
We hasn't had the ACL. He's third on the Coleman this year. I think he's become a bit more consistent than Max.
Yeah, he's a year ahead for a start, isn't he, in terms of his development, as you said, Mitch. How we place him up, Max's performances in 2022 versus Ben in 2021, that'll be interesting, I think. But, or both. Can I answer both?
Yeah, and all this talk of the twins playing together again, I just can't see it happening. For instance, I just don't see the team structure fitting in. Ben King's trained the last 3 years as a forward and basically the same position as Max. I can't really see them fitting into that same side together unless Ben was to go back to being a defender, but I feel like he's sort of set now as a forward, and a damn good one at that.
Yeah, I struggle to say it myself in some ways. Like, if he was going to move clubs, I'd see other clubs as being better fits for him, yeah. But I hope he doesn't, and I hope at least he gives it that 6 years, and then if he's having to think about it at that point, after 2 more at the end of next year, then, you're allowed to make life decisions clearly. But I think that, yeah, he's such a good player. He's such a crucial player to them. You can see them also looking around for, some support for him next year to make sure that it's not just King or nothing in attack.
Maybe Max goes to Gold Coast Cup.
Well, it would be a nice fit. He's just signed a 4-year deal, so I'm not sure St Kilda would be that keen to get rid of him. But yeah, they're both special players, aren't they?
All right, next, who would you rather? Matt Rowell, Noah Anderson, or Elijah Hollins? You can only pick one.
A Rowell, but just.
I'm going for Elijah Hollins on Twitter and Matt Rowell on the field.
Noah for me.
Noah, all right.
He's got a high ceiling.
Yep, well, Noah is listed as a test and could be back this week, so great news for Noah Anderson fans like yourself. And now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, the GCSUNScast AFL Exchange quiz. Who will be crowned the AFL Exchange #1 Suns fan? I couldn't think of a better name, so we'll just stick with that.
If you're really going to go like full AFL Exchange, you should have turned that into an acronym, Shane.
I'm not even going to try. It will take me too long. All right, so let's start off. First of all, you guys need to call your name as your buzzers. So Mitch, Riley, and Cal. You guys got that? All right.
Cheeto.
Question 1. Who kicked the first AFL goal for the... Riley.
Charlie Dixon.
Yes, 1 point to Riley. 2. Who kicked the winning goal on the Suns' first win?
I remember this. I remember the goal. I don't remember what it did.
Mitch. Was it that guy? He's from Tasmania. Who was the... Was he a Tasmanian?
I think the Suns have had a few Tasmanians play for them.
No.
No, no one's going to... All right, we're all out. The answer for that was Luke Russell.
Tasmanian.
Tasmanian.
Okay, so 1
mate.
point, Riley. Number 3. What year was the Suns' highest ladder finish, and what was it?
Cal,
Yep.
2014 ninth.
No.
Mitch, 2014 10th?
No.
Riley, 2014 10th. 2015 10th.
No, you guys had the right year, 2014, but the answer was 12th.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, that's not good.
They've never finished higher than 12th.
Yeah, I wouldn't be asking that question.
All right, this is a hard one. Number 4. Who was the Suns' first captain in their first ever VFL game? Captained the side in 2009 and 2010.
Cal,
Right, Cal?
Josh Toy?
No.
Oh, that's a good guess, though, Cal.
Mitch?
Yep.
Sam Isles?
No.
Did he play the Gold Coast?
Yeah, he did. I think he came across.
Andy Stanley.
Nah. All right, Riley, no guess.
I'm trying to think of an inaugural Sun. Did they play in the first AFL team?
I'll give you a hint. He played one AFL game.
Was he in our 22 under 22 team?
I don't think so.
No.
The answer is Mark Locke.
Mark with a C, I think.
Lucky.
Yep. All right, only 4 questions down, and only 1 has been answered, thanks to Riley.
You know what? I remember that game. It was against Carlton. I remember being a 17-year-old Carlton supporter at the time and just watching.
It's like England and the penalty shooter.
I know, right? Okay. All right. Next question. Only one Suns player has kicked a goal after the siren to win the game.
Oh,
Cal.
I think that was Cal. Yep.
spare me.
Carmichael.
Cans.
Yep, that's it. 1 point Riley, 1 point Cal. Okay. Gold Coast Suns have had 2 draws in their history. Name the sides that drew.
Mitch.
Yes.
One of them was Essendon.
Yep.
It's a great question.
I've got it. Riley, if he passes it up.
Go
5.
for it.
Bulldogs.
No.
Wasn't it that game where they... Oh,
No.
All right. Again, no answers. No takers.
Snap, Cal.
All right. I'm going to give Mitch half a point because he got it right. The first one. The second team was West Coast.
Right.
That
Didn't
was
they draw with the Dogs in that game where they kicked 6 lines in a row to finish or something?
no. That was
That game, maybe.
no. Yeah, I think the Dogs won that game. That last year, that was a close game that Dogs won, and I think you're talking about one that might have happened 4 or 5 years ago.
At Marvel. And I think Bond missed from like 20 out directly in
And
front.
the Suns held on to win that game. Yeah.
It was Billy Gowers who missed after the siren.
All right, Cal, don't disappoint me on this one. Okay, so this is a nearest to the pin. Whoever has the closest number to the answer gets the full points. The question is, how many Rising Star nominations have the Gold Coast Suns received?
Cal, I'm going to go with 23.
Mitch, Riley?
What are we?
It's nearest to the pin. How many Rising Star nominations have Suns players received?
12.
5.
What was that, Mitch?
25.
25. Riley 20. Cal 23 and Riley 12. Let me do my maths. Riley is 6 off.
That means I'm closest.
That means Cal's closest with 5 off. The answer is 18. Matera, Smith, Swallow, Mackenzie, Caddy, O'Meara, Nichols, Kolajasny, Martin, Sard, Miller, Wright, Ainsworth, King, Rowell, Butterick, Rankin, and Anderson are the nominations.
Noah's the one who tipped me over. Beautiful.
Good to know.
Okay. So what's that? Cal 2 points, Riley 1, and Mitch half a point.
Made a hot start, though. I'm like every Gold Coast season.
Another nearest to the pin. What was the Suns' biggest win against Hawthorn, round 3, 2017?
Cal,
Yep.
91 points.
Riley, 96 points.
Mitch?
89.
And the answer is 86. Mitch is the winner there. Mitch jumps ahead of Riley with 1.5 points.
I thought it was 96.
All right. Now this is a Who Am I? So I'll go through each sentence. You lose a point. So the sooner you answer, the more points you can get.
This is a big one.
3 points up for grabs. Who am I? Born in 1998, I have played 73 games after making my debut in round 1, 2017 against the Lions. That's 3
Cal.
points. Cal?
It is Jack Bowes.
No. For 2 points.
Mitch.
I have... Yeah, Mitch?
Charlie Ballard.
No. All right.
Cal.
Riley,
Will Brody.
No, Riley's next. Cal's already gone.
Ben Ainsworth.
No. All right, you're all back in. For 2 points, I have a famous great uncle. Oh, crap. I've got the wrong one. Who said Jack Bowes?
Me.
Cal, you in. 3 points for Cal. I have a famous great uncle who bowled Don Bradman in the 32-33 Ashes series. I have played almost all positions on the ground, but have settled in the back line of late.
Does Bosey's got an uncle who bowled out Don Bradman?
Yep.
I thought Wayne would be a better cricketer as a result of that.
I was born and raised in Cairns and taken as an academy selection after a matching bid against Sydney. So, we've got Cal on 5 points now, Mitch on 1.5, and Riley on 1.
Still alive.
All right, for 3 points, who am I? I made my Gold Coast Suns AFL debut in 2012 against the Bulldogs. I have since played 148 games for the Suns, with my 100th in 2019 against the Bulldogs, yet again. No takers? Okay, 2 points. My career best season was 2018, playing all...
Alex Sexton. Cal.
Yeah, Cal's got it. All right,
What
so
tipped you off, Cal?
What's that?
What tipped you off?
It was the
AFL
2018.
tables.
So that's 7 points for Cal, and Cal, you are the AFL Exchange #1 Suns fan.
I didn't need the quiz to tell me that, Shane.
Oh. All right. Well, that just about does us for today. There's a couple of things left to run over, though. In the VFL, it wasn't so successful for the Suns. They lost to the Giants by 40 points there. Brody had 38 disposals. Jeffrey's looking impressive with 3 goals. And Farah, 24 disposals and 1 goal. Those 3 are all lock pushing for a case in the AFL side, especially with Hugh Greenwood being ruled out for the season. Lucky for us, it's not his ACL, it is his MCL, so the Suns expect him to be back for the start of pre-season. Also, the fixture has been announced, and the Suns will now be playing Melbourne in round 19 in Darwin. So that will be another interesting game. It looks like the Suns will also be wearing their Indigenous Guernsey again to honour the Indigenous heritage. And Lockie Weller didn't last long in his VFL comeback. He suffered a concussion and will be ruled out for next week's game. And Anderson and Corbett are a test, so they can hopefully come back and take on the Bulldogs this week at Metricon Stadium. All right, guys. Any final closing comments?
No, we're pleased that you had us on, Shane. We always enjoy coming on, so thanks for that. And we love your support of the Suns. It's great.
Oh, thanks, guys. Hopefully Al doesn't let the number one Suns fan goes to his head on the show next Monday. I'll be listening for that. Maybe you come up with the acronym for it. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us, and until next time, go Suns.